Don't underestimate the value of sitting at the piano and not playing anything. Practicing is a complex dialogue between our muscles and body, our ears and our mind. So say you're listening to someone speak to you and you don't quite catch something that they said. What do we all do? We ask them to repeat themselves, right? But not just that. Before we ask, we usually pause. We think for a moment, trying to make sense of what we heard, and then we ask. Practicing at the piano should actually be quite similar. Let me give you two examples, and we're going to start with an advanced one so you can see that this principle can be used from the simplest of passages straight through to the most difficult. So here's a passage from Liszt's Sonetto 104 del Petrarca. Now, even at the conservatory level, where students really should know better, you'll often hear a difficult passage like that one played nonstop, repeat after repeat after repeat, and so it gets chained together and it sounds something like this. Taking just the middle of the passage, I don't know, I've done that 5, 6, 7 times. I could keep going for minutes, and no joke, I actually heard someone practice one measure of music for 30 minutes in a practice room at a university. For everybody who is guilty of doing this, congratulations, you've just wasted almost all of your time running through that material. You see, after 2 or 3 nonstop repeats of the same motion by the playing mechanism in our body, our brains stop paying attention to what's going on. Basically, we trick our own brain into being complacent because we aren't adding any new input to it. The brain says, hey, okay, I get it. This is the same thing. So I'm going to go into power saver mode and tune out. See ya. The mental manifestation of that is that we stop the brain from building new neural connections. And new connections, that's how we learn. That's how we get better. That's how we get more efficient at the keyboard. So if you simply put your hands on loop and repeat over and over and over again, you'll get the most benefit from the first run through. You'll maybe get a little benefit from the second run and maybe a little bit from the third run, and probably almost no benefit at all from the repeats after that. However many minutes you spend, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. And why does that all happen? It happens because you put your brain on power saver mode. Now there's a simple and really handy trick to making those 3 or 5 minutes that you want to spend repeating a passage count so much more. It's just pause between repeats. It's literally that simple. Pause. To add one more important thing to that, have the discipline to pause. Count to 3 or even to 5 between each time that you play the exact passage again. When you do that, you're never letting your brain go to sleep or to tune out. It's that little bit of time makes each repetition just as valuable as the first one. So with that Liszt passage, if I again just play from the middle of it, it would sound like this, making sure I pause. Pause, 2, 3. Pause. No, I could keep going and I could do that for minutes on end, but that little bit of time makes each one of those repetitions count for so much more. It makes them all feel like, to the brain, feel like the first time running through that passage. And the brain is paying super close attention to what we're doing, how we're executing it, and what we're working on. Moving over to an intermediate or early intermediate idea even, using Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Now, when we get to the middle of the Moonlight Sonata, actually bar 32, we begin to approach some arpeggios that are diminished, right? And I see so many students, they get to this passage and they play. Well, that's the same bar again. I didn't even lift the pedal. I haven't even skipped a beat. Now, I might be going a little bit more quickly than an intermediate student would just to demonstrate this for us, so it doesn't take so long to show you. But it's the exact same principle. We have just put the brain to sleep after 2, 3, 4 repetitions because all we're doing is the same thing over and over and over again. Not really thinking about it, right? Simple solution. Have the discipline to pause. So taking that same passage, pause, play it again. Pause, play it again. And so on and so on. Every time we pause, we have that extra focus. We can come right to the beginning of that phrase and we know exactly how we're going to begin it. We know exactly what we want to work on each time we go through that phrase. Whether in this particular case, it's finding the right notes, that could be one thing. Whether it's learning what the fingering is or where the thumb changes pitches or what the hand position is. Or if we're working on musicality, or if we're working on keeping every note the exact same dynamic because of the Moonlight Sonata, this could potentially be like looking out over the calmest water, right? Or it's a completely still scene that's in front of us. Any of those things, those are perfect opportunities. Each time that we pause, we get to reset, refresh, refocus our mind, and then run through it again. And every time for the brain, every time will feel like the first time. That means far less time actually doing repetitions because every repetition is worth 100%. So that's how we can avoid putting our brain into power saver mode. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Remember, practice smarter, not harder, just like we talked about today. And I'll see you next time you visit Pianist Academy.